entrepreneur of the evening, Thomas Lester. Thomas is an engineering student at Auburn University and is also the founder of his startup called the Early Bird Company. Tonight he is here with us to pitch his self-heating beverage container. Please help me welcome Thomas to the stage.
Hello everyone, I'm Thomas Lester. I'm a junior studying industrial and systems engineering at Auburn University, and I'm the founder of the Early Bird Co. This is the current landscape of the coffee industry. None of these allow you to have a hot coffee in your hand instantly. If you've ever found yourself on the road or running a little bit behind in the morning and craving a great cup of hot coffee, maybe didn't have time to brew it, couldn't stop at a drive-thru, or just wanted a more convenient way to enjoy a great cup of hot coffee, what if you could have a self-heating, pre-made hot coffee, tea, or hot chocolate that's perfectly hot and ready to enjoy in 90 seconds? That's where Early Bird comes in, with the most convenient coffee solution ever invented. With just one step, you can activate the coffee and have it hot and ready in 90 seconds. I'm going to activate a few of them for y'all now. And once steam appears, that signifies that the beverage is ready to drink. Our product brings new news to the coffee industry. The great news is that no one is currently doing this. Our competition is solely with existing and less optimal products on the market. But our competitive advantage doesn't end there. We have 3 strong patents pending, including a full utility patent application, and these patent applications include 32 separate claims and 50 drawings and figures. We're currently working on a 4th and a 5th patent as we speak, once the finances allow for it. So I want to show y'all real quick. Here is one of them, and I don't know if it shows up with the light, but there is steam appearing that signifies that the beverage is ready to drink. All of them are currently going off, so I'll put those there. So I established the Early Bird Co. in January of this year, and since then we have won multiple awards for our technology, including funding at 4 separate pitch competitions to date this year. We are on the verge of being able to launch and receive revenue in 2025 as soon as we get our patents covered and finalize our development with our manufacturers. So while manufacturing is typically the most difficult part of commercializing a product, we have landed 2 major manufacturers in New Jersey in a matter of months. These manufacturers, QPSI and THEM, are currently working on a limited production run for us and finalizing our product development. Although we are pre-revenue, we have seen massive market validation from these companies that are used to working with companies like Procter & Gamble by them investing their time and resources into our product because they believe in the massive market potential that is self-evident. So how will we produce revenue and what kind of profit margins can we make? Well, we are seeking to drive all revenue through licensing the product to existing canned cold brew coffee manufacturers to fill on their lines. The product will retail at $3.95 per unit and be sold in packs of 6. After all freight, logistics, manufacturing, fill, and raw materials, the licensee will still pull a gross profit margin of over 50%. Even with our additional technology. We will seek a 5% licensing fee, which makes out to be just under 20 cents per unit of pure profit for our company. So while commercializing the product in the food and beverage industry is extremely difficult typically, we have built a great team, and I've surrounded myself with partners that are leaders in their respective fields. I have Dan Lenardi from a consumer packaged goods background, and Scott McGuan, who has a background in search engine optimization, manufacturing, and logistics. Dan Leonardi was in charge of sales for the PepsiCo in the Southeast. He was a vice president at Kellogg Company, Hanover Foods, Conagra Foods, and he has unbelievable connections in the food and beverage industry to Fortune 500 food and beverage CEOs, including his friend Jim Donald, the former CEO of Starbucks, and Mark Klaus, the chairman and CEO of Campbell's Soup. So Scott McGuan, he is a serial entrepreneur who has had 9 successful startups, including in search engine optimization, like I said. He sold his major SEO company, OCG, in 2014. And he also has established multiple companies and sold them in the manufacturing and logistics space. Barton Lester is a gifted salesman and negotiator, and he's going to help us with our approach when we go to seek licensing deals from these companies. So what's next? Well, we have to finalize our development and produce our limited production run. We need to finalize our patents and intellectual property, and we plan to do all of this within the next 6 months. We also have to do testing with our limited production run, third-party testing, and get consumer feedback. Once we have all this data from the consumer feedback and third-party testing, we will go and seek licensing deals with nationally distributed coffee producers, of which we already have some interest from. So, the Early Bird Company is one that is at the right time, at the right place, with the right people. And we believe that we are poised to be the next big thing in the coffee industry. So the next time you want a hot coffee on the go, think Early Bird. Thank you all, and I'd love to take questions. That was good.
Great presentation, really enjoyed it.
Thank you.
And very interesting product. Tell me more, you mentioned a little bit about your customer interest. Tell us a little bit more about what customer discovery you've done, who have you talked to, and where might you start with your commercial activities?
Yeah, so we have several different coffee producers that we have talked to. So one of them is for Valley Union Coffee in Montgomery. We've also had connection with Royal Cup, and we also have had different connections to Slingshot Coffee, which is another canned cold brew manufacturer. And so we want to work with a middle tier, nationally distributed coffee company at first. So what we've done over these last 12 months is we've taken this product and we have pitched it to everybody we can possibly pitch it to at like pitch competitions and just day to day, just talking about it. And this has allowed us to kind of get down to what the serviceable and addressable coffee market would be. So we don't want to, leave out any particular age groups or whatnot, but the typical demographic would be a young adult morning rush coffee consumer to start out with. So the total addressable market is absolutely massive, but we want to start with that. And so where we got that data from was actually the canned cold brew coffee market and the Keurig market. We looked at their value propositions being solely for convenience and efficiency, minus canned cold brew. Some people do like the taste, but what you find is people that go to a gas station, sometimes they don't trust what's there, and they trust an established brand like a Starbucks or Dunkin' or whatever they have as canned cold brew. So we've looked at these markets, who they have, and what we've seen is that it's typically that demographic that's driving all this growth. The canned cold brew coffee market is growing at a compound annual growth of over 23%, and this is almost driven entirely by the younger generations. So that's kind of a long answer for customer discovery and target audience.
Thomas, great pitch
Thank you.
overall.
Thank you.
You indicated your revenue model is primarily royalty-based.
So,
Do you also envision that you be providing the container and effectively be the supply chain for the end producer?
So we want to use our existing manufacturers and set that up as a separate deal. Basically, the brand and the fill would be on the coffee licensee side, and then they could use our already established supply chain as an easy way to just integrate this into their current product offering. So we personally wouldn't be producing anything. We can hand this off to them. QPSI is a company that works with Campbell Soup and all sorts of other consumer packaged goods. THEM, they do liquid IV. They produce 80% of the world's liquid IV product. So they're used to working with a lot of the brands that we're actually targeting. So we want to set that supply chain up. If they want to use their own supply chain, they're welcome to. But we can have hard numbers for what they can expect to produce, scale, everything through our own manufacturers. But if they want to use their own, they're welcome to, as long as they pay the 5% licensing fee. Sir.
So, what's keeping you up at night?
Yeah, well, You know, there's
What's the biggest challenge?
yeah, I'd say our biggest challenge right now is, you know, we've got the development process is taking, I mean, it's actually been a pretty quick development process. This current iteration was developed in June of this year. But I'm always thinking about how do we have a 100% success rate of activation, and how do we make the manufacturing process as simple as possible? That's probably what keeps me up at night most about this product. However, from a safety perspective, I believe this is the safest attempt on a product like that's ever been done. The actual beverage itself is contained in a Mylar bag within, which has already been used for food safe products. So from a safety perspective, it's heated from the outside within that container. So I feel really great about the safety perspective, which has typically been what's caused any self-heating containers in the past, temp-wise, to fail. But back to the development and simplification, you know, we want to get that manufacturing cost as low as possible to allow for the highest gross profit margins. And so we've kind of narrowed it down. We started out with 8 different pieces. Now we've got it to where it's clicking together like Legos, and I can, you know, put together 36 in my office, you know, in a matter of a couple hours, just for prototype's sake, while our manufacturers can, you know, obviously way ramp that up. But, you know, just simplifying that process, and that's exactly what we're working on developing right now with our manufacturers, is a more simplified manufacturing process.
I'm gonna follow up on a great presentation, by the way.
Yeah, thank you.
So I guess one of my questions is more of a logistical question. How do you control temperature? It sounds like you started the prototype in June, so you really haven't had a chance to see it in a colder environment. Have you had the opportunity to plan for that? How do you control temperature where it's consistent across all environmental factors?
Yeah, so the key here is we use a paperboard container. And so our goal is to keep it sealed on the outside and very insulated from the outdoors. So while you can't really, you know, take the entire, you can't have an exactly consistent temperature. Say you were in the desert in, you know, Nevada, or say you were in Canada or something. You can't have exactly a perfect temperature, but if you insulate it enough, not only does it protect the user's hands, which we're working on increasing that protection a little bit from, you know, it being too hot, but it allows the temperature to stay relatively consistent. So we see that across the board, if we're, you know, inside in a 72-degree environment, the temperature typically stays within a margin of error of about 5 degrees of 180 degrees Fahrenheit. So we can get that honed in based off of the amount of water that we use and also the amount of minerals that we use. But the outside temperatures don't have as big of an effect since the insulating nature of the outside container.
That 5-degree variance, for how long does it before it goes beyond that threshold?
Yeah, so we've seen the temperature stay at the optimal level for around 45 minutes, and then after that it slowly starts to wean down. However, it'll still stay hot and, you know, more, you know, and consumable, about the 150 range for, you know, over an hour and a half. So the temperature does stay pretty consistent, but after about that hour and a half mark, it starts to really wean down. And but, you know, if you haven't drank 10 ounces of coffee in an hour and a half, then, you know, yeah, just grab you another one.
So is this the size that it's gonna be sold in? Is this, we got one size, or how many sizes?
Yeah, so the typical, we're trying to run this on existing lines with a single tool change for these canned cold brew manufacturers. And typically, their can size is roughly that, what you see there. If you ever see a La Colombe coffee, and there's several other brands, they use that skinny can design. And so ours adds a little bit of height, but we want to keep it relatively similar to that. It'll be filled with 9 to 10 ounces of coffee. We're working on increasing the amount of volume that can be put into that container. So we think we're going to settle at about 10 ounces of coffee using their current lines.
Thomas, have you considered products other than coffee? Let's say it's
Yep, so we have also developed, this is actually our farthest along product, a self-heating soup product. It's a twist top. I did not put charges in these. And then we have also developed a self-heating coffee tote. So you may have seen these in meetings. They typically are more of a different shape than this, but these are the typical shapes that we want to go with for freight purposes. But these are self-heating. So our results with both of those are pretty astounding. We've got the soup up to 150 degrees Fahrenheit for over an hour and heated up to full temperature within 2 minutes. And that's more targeted to the military. With the tote product, we have got that hot for up to 4 hours and it takes 5 minutes to activate since it's 96 ounces of coffee. But that is more for a corporate environment. It's easy to hand off. It solves a massive logistics problem. Companies that fill those totes in the morning, if you ever ask a coffee shop owner, filling, say, 30 96-ounce totes is a lot of coffee to make in the morning while they're trying to serve in-store customers. So what ends up happening is these companies will fill them at 5 a.m., and what happens is they get cold by the time that they hand them off to you. So what we're doing is allowing them to fill and seal them in advance, and just hand it off when they're ready. Press a push point, have it hot, and it'll stay hot for a significant amount of time, significantly longer than usual. Good.
So much.
Great job.
Fantastic. Thank you, Thomas. Thank you, ladies. Thank you, judges. Thank you, audience. What you appreciate. So I have a heart full of gratitude tonight. So thank you all so much.